And of course, the normal way of things isn't normal yet. So we're not necessarily doing the things that we would normally have done with him.
The British monarchy finds itself at the centre of hushed whispers once more, as a bold power move from Prince William sends massive shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. Real answers are definitely out there, and genuine solutions to these royal dilemmas do exist. In an unexpected decision that caught everyone off guard, William has authorised a dramatic title change for Duchess Sophie's children, rewriting their current royal status and completely reshaping the monarchy's power hierarchy. This sudden shake-up has left palace insiders reeling. Even if the rumours are slightly exaggerated, watching the public reaction unfold is absolutely fascinating. Their reactions spark intense questions about power play's favouritism and hidden agendas. But what drove William to take this leap, and what consequences lie ahead under the heavy weight of these titles? For more than 25 years now, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie have quietly served the British monarchy, working diligently in the background, with a determination that rarely makes the front page headlines. Unlike other prominent members of the royal family, they never chased the spotlight through public drama or cheap spectacles. Instead, they have earned incredibly deep respect inside the palace through steady dedication and an unwavering, quiet sense of duty. When they first married, Edward and Sophie tried balancing official royal duties with their very own private business careers, but intense public scrutiny made that impossible. They abandoned business ventures and dedicated themselves fully to royal service, carving out the highly respected roles they hold today. Sophie, in particular, built up quiet influence and became incredibly close to Queen Elizabeth II, who deeply valued her discretion and loyalty. Their relationship grew so incredibly strong that Sophie even referred to the Queen as Mama during a public speech. While she might be less famous than Princess Anne, Sophie's steady contributions remain incredibly significant, earning her a lasting reputation as one of the monarchy's most reliable figures. Her tireless work goes far beyond safe palace walls and routine ceremonial events. She has courageously travelled into some of the most turbulent and dangerous territories on Earth, particularly across Africa. From South Sudan to the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sierra Leone, she has witnessed firsthand the immense suffering of innocent people caught in war zones. Her efforts have focused heavily on the painful issue of gender-based violence in conflict areas, a critical subject that is far too often ignored or silenced. By shining a bright light on these hidden horrors, she has given a voice to the voiceless and dignity to those who survived the unthinkable. Thanks to these efforts, Sophie received the prestigious Hillary Rodham Clinton Award, placing her in the exact same league as celebrated global humanitarians like actress Angelina Jolie. This global recognition did more than cement her international standing. It also greatly reinforced her value inside the royal family. Royal observers now describe her as one of King Charles's ultimate hidden strengths, a highly effective secret weapon for a modern monarchy that constantly demands stability and contemporary relevance. But Sophie's quiet influence does not end with her alone. The complex world of royal titles is a language of its own, a highly coded system, signalling power, loyalty, and future directions. These royal titles are far more than ceremonial decorations. They dictate which family members remain in the public eye, who will shoulder major responsibilities, and who is destined to slowly fade into the background. Which is precisely why Prince William's sudden approval of a title change for Sophie's children has triggered massive waves of speculation across the country. James, formerly recognised as Viscount Severn, has formally stepped into the prestigious role of Earl of Wessex, a prominent royal title once held by his father. This is far from a minor tweak. It significantly elevates his standing, positions him securely within the royal framework, and clearly signals that he won't be staying in the shadows, but taking on growing importance. At the same time, Sophie's daughter, Lady Louise, is gradually stepping off the sidelines. Once among the most private of the late Queen Elizabeth's grandchildren, She is now being carefully and strategically introduced to the public, dropping subtle hints of much bigger royal duties ahead. So why does this matter? Because a monarchy facing turbulent times ahead cannot rely solely on its top-tier royals. Every single generation must prepare its youth for public service. These titles, then, are far more than just symbols. By green-lighting these significant changes, Prince William, our future king, might be sending a clear signal that he views Sophie's family as absolutely vital to the survival of the crown. Some wonder if this strategic move is actually William's way of reshaping the monarchy to fit his personal future vision. Even as King Charles sits on the throne today by ensuring Sophie's children are properly recognised and elevated, he is reinforcing a branch of the family that has always remained completely loyal, hard-working and entirely scandal-free. This shift carries massive weight. It broadcasts to the world that the palace is actively adapting, valuing quiet duty over loud publicity stunts, and investing in relatives who possess true resilience. Sophie, who was once deeply underestimated, now stands tall as one of the royal family's strongest pillars. Through her influence, her children are being groomed not merely as minor royals, but as potential future leaders within a palace machine that desperately needs every reliable hand it can get. Ultimately, this unfolding drama is much bigger than just one woman, a single title, or one royal household. It is the fascinating story of a monarchy quietly reinventing itself, driven by loyalty duty and deep, powerful adjustments that will echo across future generations. Why would Sophie champion such a quiet, private path for her own kids? Will she let them make their own choices as adults? Let's uncover why Sophie and Edward wanted a completely different life for them. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has earned widespread praise for her down-to-earth attitude and quiet strength inside the palace walls. On her 60th birthday, it is worth looking back at one of her most honest revelations. Specifically why she and her husband, Prince Edward, decided against giving their children the official His or Her Royal Highness titles that traditionally belong to grandchildren of a reigning monarch. This decision was first shared publicly back in 2020 when Sophie spoke very candidly in an interview about the personal reasoning behind this highly unusual choice. At that time, her daughter, Lady Louise Windsor, was 21, while her son James, now the Earl of Wessex, was 17. Unlike their royal cousins, neither sibling uses the His or Her Royal Highness style, despite being fully entitled to it by birth. Under royal tradition, the children of the monarch's sons are automatically eligible for His Royal Highness status. This means Louise could be officially styled as Princess Louise and James as Prince James if they ever wished. However, their parents made a conscious decision to go another way, choosing to raise them as children of an earl instead of a royal prince. Today, Louise is officially known as Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor. Meanwhile, young James carries the courtesy title of Earl of Wessex, which was his father's previous title, before he was named Duke of Edinburgh. This choice was definitely not made on a whim. Sophie explained that she and Prince Edward wanted their children to enjoy as normal a life as possible, free from the heavy restrictions and constant expectations of full-time royal duties. As she openly put it, they are raising their kids with the clear understanding that they will almost certainly need to work for a living. For this devoted couple, shielding their kids from rigid royal protocols was purely an act of protection. Sophie also revealed that technically both Louise and James could adopt their Royal Highness titles after turning 18, but she openly admitted that this scenario is incredibly unlikely to ever happen. The Duchess truly believed her kids were growing up to value their personal independence and wouldn't actively chase after formal titles that could bind them too tightly to the crown. This modern royal approach marks a clear shift away from expecting every single relative to perform public duties. Younger royals are now encouraged to balance their own personal ambitions with limited public roles. For Sophie and Edward, this meant raising Louise and James with a strong focus on education, personal responsibility, and real self-reliance. Growing up mostly out of the spotlight, they went to regular schools and enjoyed a remarkably normal life. Sophie is frequently praised for instilling humility and practical values, shaping her kids for a future beyond royal titles. The Duchess's words back in 2020 were simple yet incredibly powerful. They hold those official titles and can choose to use them once they turn 18, but it's very unlikely. With that one quiet statement, she beautifully captured both the privilege of choice and the deep desire for her kids to live an ordinary life. By stepping back from the sheer grandeur of royal tradition, Sophie and Edward carved out an entirely different path. It's one rooted in modern values, beautifully preparing their kids for a future where who they are inside matters far more than any titles they might hold. Could there be a deeper reason why Sophie's children keep such a low profile? Let's explore the hidden side of the Edinburgh family, looking closely at Sophie's quiet power and the kids who might just change everything. In a royal family constantly plagued by massive scandals, endless drama and the brutal gaze of the paparazzi, one quiet figure has managed to steer a completely different course. While the world's constant attention naturally gravitates toward King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William and Princess Catherine, another hard-working royal operates quietly in the background, steady as a rock and completely untouched by tabloid rumours. That's Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. Once largely overlooked in the grand hierarchy of the palace, Sophie has emerged as an incredibly trusted confidant, even described by the late Queen Elizabeth II as her ultimate rock. Her journey into this unique position of quiet strength is not just the story of a remarkably dignified woman, but also of the increasingly vital role she and her young family play in shaping the future of the British monarchy. When Sophie and her husband Prince Edward were finally elevated to the titles of Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, it was way more than just a ceremonial honour. It was a huge public acknowledgement of their years of loyalty, service and absolute discretion. While other royal couples constantly faced intense scrutiny, whispers of wild scandal or devastating tabloid storms, Sophie and Edward stood apart. Their new titles symbolised real stability in a family that has often desperately lacked it. But Sophie's real impact does not rest on grand titles alone. Her quiet, steady influence extends deeply to her children, Lady Louise Windsor and young James, the Earl of Wessex. Raised under the shadow of her grounded humility, they represent an incredibly refreshing contrast to the toxic headlines that so often swirl around their famous royal relatives. While Lady Louise has been mostly shielded from the public eye, the brief glimpses the world has caught speak total volumes. With her natural talent for carriage driving, a sport her late grandfather Prince Philip absolutely adored, she beautifully connects royal tradition with modern grace. At public events, her incredibly calm presence and composed demeanour have never gone unnoticed. She exudes a quiet poise far beyond her years, a reminder that not all royal kids grow up chasing the spotlight. Some simply inherit the natural ability to carry it well when it finally finds them. James, meanwhile, has recently stepped into a more visible role, especially with his recognition as the Earl of Wessex. Though still young, massive expectations already surround his future. In an era where the British monarchy is rapidly shrinking and demands on younger royals are constantly growing, James might well be called upon to shoulder heavy responsibilities far sooner than he ever imagined. His brand new title is far more than just a formality. It signals a future of much greater involvement where he will stand proudly alongside his cousins as part of a modern yet deeply traditional monarchy. Together, Louise and James truly embody what the royal family desperately needs right now, a new generation completely untainted by ugly drama. Their upbringing has been kept sheltered but never indulgent, deeply shaped by Sophie's firm insistence on humility rather than royal entitlement. Unlike some of their other royal peers, they weren't raised in the blinding, chaotic centre of public attention, but in the steady, guiding light of their parents' quiet family values. This deliberate, grounded approach may well prove to be the monarchy's real hidden strength as it slowly adapts to the 21st century. and at the absolute heart of it all is Sophie herself. Her influence has never been loud, but it is incredibly lasting. She beautifully models a style of royal service deeply rooted in dignity rather than drama, and in grace instead of grandstanding. Those who know her best describe her as incredibly approachable and grounded, which are rare and precious qualities in the elite world of royalty. By raising her children away from royal arrogance and close to traditional values, she has built a strong foundation the monarchy will surely rely upon one day. The recent decision by Prince William to approve official changes to the titles of Sophie's children is highly telling. It strongly suggests that he views Lady Louise and James not simply as younger cousins, but as vital future allies. With the active British monarchy rapidly shrinking in numbers, every single loyal hand and steady heart becomes absolutely critical. William's smart decision indicates his clear awareness that in the challenging years to come, the crown will depend not only on him and Catherine, but also on extended family members who fully embody trust, discretion, and duty. For now, Sophie continues her work without any fuss, entirely unnoticed by those too distracted by much louder royal dramas. Yet, directly in her shadow, a beautiful, quiet legacy grows. In Lady Louise and James there lies the genuine promise of a future monarchy that seamlessly blends old traditions with modern hope. It is grace without scandal and loyalty without any noise. And perhaps in the end this is Sophie's ultimate achievement, not only earning the complete trust of the late Queen and the respect of a nation, but ensuring that her children proudly carry forward a deep legacy of service, defined not by controversy, but by sheer character. While they carefully shield their kids from the media spotlight, do they actually perform their duties as official working members of the royal family? Let's look closely at the details of their official roles in the royal family and the quiet strength of Edward and Sophie. In the intense world of royalty, where daily headlines are dominated by nasty scandals, dazzling ceremonies, or the louder personalities of the crown, a few special figures move with quiet determination and grace. For over 25 years, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, have been exactly those steady figures. They did not build their influence on loud public drama or grand gestures. Instead, their loyalty, reliability, and calm presence have earned them an incredibly vital and respected place within the royal family. When they first took on their official duties, Edward and Sophie tried to walk a very thin line, attempting to balance their roles as working royals with private business ventures. At first it actually looked like a clever way to mix old traditions with modern independence, but the setup quickly became a mess, drawing harsh criticism and raising major questions about conflicts of interest. Realizing this, they walked away from private business, entirely devoting themselves fully to serving the crown. That quiet decision made without any drama became a massive turning point, proving they were willing to adapt to keep the monarchy stable. It was Sophie more than anyone who transformed into a highly trusted insider. She became far more than just a daughter-in-law to the late Queen Elizabeth II. She grew to be a true confidant. In an emotional speech, Sophie even called the Queen Mama, showing the deep love and respect between them. Even though she never grabbed the massive headlines that Princess Anne did, Sophie carved out a remarkably quiet yet incredibly powerful role. Her incredibly close bond with the Queen, paired with her calm, steady composure, earned her deep respect from both the royal family and the public. What truly sets Sophie apart is not just her palace title, but how passionately she has thrown herself into charity work across conflict zones worldwide. While other royals focused on domestic duties, Sophie travelled straight into dangerous conflict zones, including South Sudan, Sierra Leone, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. These dangerous trips were never just photo ops. They showed her deep dedication to helping women and children who survived absolutely unimaginable trauma. Her relentless advocacy shined a bright spotlight on the horrors of sexual violence in war zones, a brutal topic that the world often ignores. Sophie's tireless work in raising awareness and driving actual change did not go unnoticed by global leaders. She was honoured with the Hillary Rodham Clinton Award, placing her right alongside world-famous advocates like actress and humanitarian Angelina Jolie, who champions the exact same causes. This big moment highlighted Sophie's incredible journey from a lesser-known royal to a highly respected global figure in humanitarian work. Royal experts have frequently called Sophie the secret weapon of King Charles, though she does not get the same high-profile attention as others. Her unique gift for connecting with ordinary people, her deep proven resilience and her global charity work bring a vital, quiet strength to the monarchy in deeply significant ways. She brings an incredible mix of humility, compassion, and relentless drive that perfectly defines what modern royalty should be. They serve not merely as decorative figureheads, but as active champions for real progress. Working beside Prince Edward's Sophie has proven that the crown's survival depends less on the rulers at the top and more on those who quietly protect its dignity behind closed doors. Their quiet, valuable service has been crucial in keeping the crown stable through incredibly difficult times. For Sophie, her brave choices to enter the world's most dangerous regions and speak up for the forgotten ensures her royal legacy is far more than just ceremonial. In a royal world often dominated by flashy spectacle, Sophie's journey is a masterclass in quiet power, proving that the most lasting impact is never made with noise or grandeur, but through steady dedication and real heartfelt compassion. While this sudden decision catches many off guard, insiders are left absolutely stunned. Is Prince William truly ready to take the reins? Could this move actually save the royal family? Let us find out. Is it strategy or fate? The British monarchy has always balanced tradition and constant change. It is a centuries-old institution that must appear completely timeless while desperately fighting to survive in a modern world. Today that balancing act feels more fragile than ever before. Rumours are swirling. Are the quiet changes inside the palace walls the work of a brilliant, carefully crafted strategy? Or is it just history forcing its heavy hand upon an exhausted crown? Every major shift in the royal family feels completely silent, almost invisible at first. Yet when you look closer, these changes carry massive weight. Prince William's growing influence is clear in his subtle moves, especially his quiet push to bring Sophie's kids, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex, much closer to the centre of royal power. In an era where the royal family must face the harsh reality of a slimmed-down model, Prince William seems to be preparing for a future where far fewer royals perform official duties. Yet the crown remains just as visible and dominant in the public imagination. For King Charles, these shifts likely feel both inevitable and deeply urgent. Now, 76 and dealing with serious health battles, his reign already feels constrained. Once a long-awaited destiny, his time on the throne is turning out to be much shorter than he hoped. He wears the crown, but the constant shadow of his own mortality follows every step. Beside him, Queen Camilla fights hard to secure her place in history. For decades, she has been a deeply controversial figure permanently tied to the tragic memory of Diana, the people's princess. Now serving as queen consort, she relies heavily on carefully staged public appearances to project strength and stability. But behind that polished smile lies a much deeper battle, the desperate struggle to avoid being totally forgotten in the grand royal story. Meanwhile, Princess Anne, always reliable, remains an absolute pillar of strength. Stoic and incredibly steady, she is hailed as the hardest working royal, representing an older, more reserved style of royalty that never complains. But Princess Anne is just one person, and even she cannot carry the weight of the crown forever. Against this tense backdrop stands William the heir. Calm, deliberate, and highly strategic, he is not just a passive prince waiting for destiny. Instead, he is already actively shaping the palace's future, watching, planning, and quietly guiding. His vision is not about expanding the crown, but streamlining it, making the royal family lighter, leaner, and far more powerful. Every move he makes seems designed to prepare for a reign that is not yet his, but one he rehearses for daily. The big question remains, are these deliberate strategic choices, or is he just reacting to outside forces? Is Prince William quietly masterminding the royal family's next big chapter, or is he simply reacting to tides completely beyond his control? Constant public skepticism, relentless media attention, and the enduring shadow of his legendary mother, Princess Diana. The royal family does not exist in isolation. It lives and dies in the court of public opinion, and modern Britain is nothing like the country of Elizabeth II's youth. Today's public is more diverse questioning and less deferential. Younger generations constantly weigh royal privilege against their own economic struggles, and wonder if a monarchy is still even necessary. William knows this. His calculated actions reflect a future king, not only preparing to rule, but fighting to defend the survival of the crown. And yet, as with almost all things royal, the full truth remains elusive. What actually unfolds in the spotlight is often pure theatre. These are deliberate gestures crafted specifically for cameras and headlines, while what unfolds behind palace walls is the real story hidden from view. Calculated strategy and survival intertwine in ways outsiders can only guess. The British monarchy, after all, has always thrived on mystery, showing just enough to keep the public enthralled while fiercely guarding its most vital secrets. Today, with Charles facing illness, Camilla fighting for relevance, and Princess Anne holding steady, and Prince William already actively shaping the institutions tomorrow, the Windsors find themselves at a historic turning point. The stage is now set for a future that feels both deeply uncertain and inevitable. Whether guided by extremely careful planning or driven by cultural forces too vast to resist the monarchy, is rapidly moving toward William's era. The true question is not if, but how and when it happens. When the heavy crown finally rests on his head, will the institution he inherits still command the loyalty of this changing nation? In the end, the truth, like so much in royal life, remains half hidden. What we actually see is often just a polished performance. What remains completely concealed may be the true heart of the story. And it is in that tense space between public spectacle and absolute secrecy that the monarchy continues to survive. What are the likely implications of these calculated moves on the future of the British monarchy? Is the royal family truly ready for the groundbreaking changes that are yet to come? Let us look closer at the details of how the crown is being reshaped for tomorrow. The British monarchy has never been a completely fixed monument of history. It is not carved in stone completely untouched by time, but is rather a living organism that bends, reshapes, and constantly reinvents itself to survive. Every age has demanded its own distinct version of the crown, and every generation of royals has found ways to adapt. Sometimes loudly with grand reforms, and sometimes quietly with subtle gestures. Today, another profound reshaping is happening right before the world's eyes. It is not announced with loud fanfare, nor shouted in crowded press conferences. This shift is silent, careful, almost invisible, and yet it is undeniable. Look closely at the carefully chosen official titles. Notice the highly unexpected absences from grand royal events. Pay close attention to the controlled smiles in staged public photographs. Behind each small detail lies something much larger, a quiet shift in the balance of power within the House of Windsor. The monarchy is not collapsing and the crown is not tumbling to the ground. Rather, it is being carefully rebalanced gently, moulded for the years ahead. This is not a sudden fall, but a major transformation. And as the world peers in, holding its collective breath, serious questions ripple through every royal corridor and echo across dinner tables, busy newsrooms, and social media feeds alike. Is Prince William preparing to rule the nation far sooner than anyone expected? His public presence grows stronger, his speeches more commanding, and his image is crafted with increasing precision. Every single appearance seems less like a supporting role and more like a direct rehearsal for the throne. Is Queen Camilla quietly stepping back now? Her public presence appears far less pronounced, with her appearances becoming fewer. Some whisper that her quiet retreat signals the beginning of an eclipse, the slow fading of her influence within the palace. Has King Charles at 76 already transitioned into a symbolic figurehead? His authority is reduced far more in practice than in name. For many, his brief reign feels marked less by strong assertion and more by transition, as though the true power is already moving past him, slipping toward the next generation. And above all, there is that haunting question: whose crown will it truly be tomorrow? Will it actually rest fully on Charles's head for long? Or is history preparing to hasten its pace, pushing Prince William forward before the kingdom expects it? There are no official answers, and no press release will ever confirm it. No formal royal speech will ever lay bare these shifting internal dynamics. That is simply not how the monarchy survives. Its strength lies in silence, in the art of leaving things unsaid. It thrives not on grand declarations, but on quiet whispers, not on what the world actually sees, but on what it suspects. And right now, those whispers are louder than any official proclamation. People say that the crown, though completely steady in outward appearance, is already in motion beneath the surface. They hint that key roles are being redefined, that power is steadily flowing in new directions, and that history is being written in quiet ink behind palace walls. The monarchy has always been a clear mirror of its time, adapting to storms and shifting with the winds of change. And as this current reshaping unfolds, one truth stands far above all else. The greatest secrets of the crown are not hidden away in dusty archives or locked in vaults. They are happening right now before our very eyes. Silent, subtle, but absolutely impossible to ignore. The world waits the crown whispers, and the future edges closer, quietly reshaping royal destiny in the subtlest of ways. So, what do you think about Sophie's personal reasons for keeping her beloved children completely out of the public spotlight? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe.